This is the 2024 Ford F-150 Powerboost Lariat 4x4. It is a large and in-charge truck with a ton of features that I bet you didn't even know you needed. I'm going to check out all the features and then put it to the test, right now on Driving Sports TV. The 2024 Ford F-150 is available in a mind-numbing array of trims and options. You can get everything from a basic work truck all the way to the crazy Raptor R. This is something in the middle. It's a Lariat Super Crew Powerboost hybrid, and it's painted Stormtrooper white. Okay, I just called it Stormtrooper white. The actual name is Star White, so that's practically the same thing. Priced at $78,040 including a number of options and destination, this loaded Lariat isn't cheap, but it has the skills that go well beyond what a standard truck can do. Let's start with the powertrain. Under the hood is a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 mated to an electric motor. This setup produces an impressive combined output of 430 horsepower and 570 pound-feet of torque. The transmission across the lineup is a 10-speed automatic. This particular truck is also equipped with full-time four-wheel drive and a dual-range transfer case. EPA rates economy at 22 miles to the gallon in the city and 24 on the highway. In the back, you get a solid axle with traditional leaf springs. Up front is an independent setup. The wheels on this truck are massive 20-inch gloss black units, and they are pretty impressive looking. They are wrapped in, what are these? General Grabber HTS all-season radials. They are M+S rated, and they are a 275/50 R22 fitment. Because these wheels are so large and the sidewall is not very big, I'm not going to be sliding this around on gravel today because there's no reason to mess up somebody else's truck. Beyond just looking good at the local Whole Foods, this F-150 is built for towing and hauling. To that point, it has a payload capacity of 1,365 pounds, and it can tow up to 11,200 pounds. And that brings me to one of the smartest features in this vehicle, built-in scales. They do remind the driver, of course, pretty straight up, that these are not professional scales, but it should help put an end to accidental overloading, which can be really dangerous. In the bed here, you not only get a spray and liner, you also get bottle openers on the gate, as well as power sockets. Unlike the 400-watt plug in the back of my Ranger Raptor, this is like having your own portable power station in the back of a truck. Some 20-amp 120s, you get 4 20-amp 120s, and you of course get a 240 30-amp. That is enough to power a small house. And in fact, during recent flooding and hurricanes in the south, a lot of people did just that. So the hybrid system in this truck, it's not just for economy, it's also to create a whole new use of your truck. I mean, you can run a TIG welder on that. Seriously, like this is the portable power station of pretty much anybody's dreams in the field. And you don't have to carry an extra set of batteries because they're in the truck. As far as the seats go, they're pretty comfortable. They have a surprising number of lumps in them, and I'm not sure why, but I can adjust the lumbar with the power controls on the side, and we got lots of other power controls as well. Plus, they are heated and cooled. Further, there is a heated steering wheel right here. I get multi-zone climate control, plus tons of bin space. I have a spot for wireless charging of my phone right there. I got USB-A, USB-C. I have cup holders. I have a spot to put a mobile device right there. Further, I can fold this thing down and use it as a workspace, which I love. That is brilliant. When you're in the field and you need a place to write, boom, there you go. And then of course, underneath it is even more bin space. Talk about a well thought out interior. Of course, up here we have the latest Ford Sync system. It is fully loaded with all the stuff that you would expect. We have XM satellite radio, we have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, navigation, as well as all the driving assistance features. It's a very nicely laid out system. I actually really like it. I think it's hit a spot where it has a nice cross-section of both usability and ease of use. In here, we can also look at the onboard scales, zone lighting, Pro Power. I mean, this thing, it's so loaded. It is so much more than just a truck. But all this stuff that it has is relevant. I love that. It's like Ford just rethought what an F-150 should be. And I know this is not brand new, but every time I get into one of these Powerboost hybrids, I'm always just really impressed with how cool these trucks are. Of course, down here we do get control over the dual range transfer case. We have 2 high, 4 automatic, for if you don't want to know if you need to be in 4 high or 2 high, and then a 4 low, which of course puts it into low range. Further, I can push the button here and turn on the rear locker because it does have an electronically controlled rear locker. Right. Let's go for a drive. On the road, this F-150 pretty much drives like you would expect an F-150. It's super comfortable seats. You got lots of features here that you can play with. Visibility is fantastic, specifically because of these low-cut windows. You can really see what's going on next to you. Yeah, it has a massive hood, but we also get cameras all the way around, so that definitely helps in parking spots. Ford thinks of these trucks as offices outside of the office. I mean, everything from this flip-down desk to 4G integration to the power that you can bring with you. They just really thought this thing through in all the ways that people would use a truck. What they want and what they need in the field, basically this truck delivers. If the price is a concern for you, because obviously anything, up in the $70,000 range is a lot of money, clearly you don't have to go with a full Lariat. There are tons of options for F-150s. And in fact, one of the reasons why the Ranger wasn't here in the US for so long is because basically the pricing wasn't that different between a mid-size and a full-size F-150. But Ford did learn that there is a place for the Ranger, and thankfully they brought it back. But obviously here in America, there's more than a place for an F-150. This is the truck that moves America. Nothing sells more than an F-150 here in the US. And I can kind of see why. Now, obviously this has leaf springs. They're not great to drive when the truck is completely unloaded, but I think they've done a good job with what they're working with here. Obviously there's limitations to solid axle with wagon springs in the back, but I don't drive around this thing thinking, oh my gosh, the springs are awful. No, it's fine. It's fine. And of course, leaf springs are great for towing. They're probably second best, just behind a complicated and expensive air suspension setup. The neat thing about this truck is that you can actually get it in a variety of different suspension setups. You can get everything from fully independent on the Lightning to solid axle with exterior coil springs on the Raptor to full leaf springs on this version of the truck. So, you can complain it has leaf springs, but you could also just get a different F-150. And now, obviously, having a massive amount of options and trims is not unique to the F-150. All truck manufacturers do it. I just like how deep they go with their options on this truck. I mean, if you want a palace on wheels with a spectacular sound system, yeah, you can get that. In fact, the sound system in this one is pretty good. I got speakers here, I got speakers here, I got speakers everywhere. It is like having a home office with a killer sound system wherever you go. Now, this does have adaptive cruise control, and better yet, it has the full Blue Cruise system, which is the hands-free semi-autonomous setup. Right now, I'm just on a little side highway. This isn't supported by Blue Cruise here because you have to be on a mapped highway. But when you don't have Blue Cruise available, you can also just use it as standard adaptive cruise control, which works pretty good. Let's go ahead and turn it on. So right here, when I have the little steering wheel come up with the hands, that means that lane tracing is active and it can trace down the middle of the lane for us. So that's your typical adaptive cruise control with lane tracing setup. But when I get on Highway 16, just at the end of this highway, then I can use the full hands-free Blue Cruise system. Oh, this just canceled because the cornering is too tight. And that will allow me to basically drive semi-autonomously as long as I stay on a mapped highway. And you do have to be on a mapped highway. And even when you're on a mapped highway, if there's sections where there's construction or it gets too wiggly, it'll still deactivate. So you still have to pay attention. It's not a fully autonomous system, it's a mostly autonomous system. This thing actually rides really nice, even with these big 22s. Now the downside of 22-inch wheels is that you don't get a lot of sidewall, so you actually have a firmer ride with a bigger wheel. That's why I don't know why everybody always wants to go to a bigger wheel. This is actually pretty nice though. I mean, it's nicer than I was expecting. So Ford's done a great job with the suspension setup here. Okay, woo, that's got some punch. Right, now that I'm on the highway here, this is Highway 16 in Gig Harbor. It's not a huge highway, but it's on the map, so that's good. I'm gonna go ahead, turning on Blue Cruise, which is their autonomous driving system, is super easy. You basically use it just like you would use adaptive cruise control. I turn on here, and it automatically knows that I'm on a road that is supported. It tells me to watch the road and be prepared to resume control. I say, okay, that's it. This isn't quite as advanced of a system as what you would find in the Tesla vehicles, and it's been a while since I've been in the GM one, so I'm not 100% sure how this compares, but I will say that this is a good enough system if you're doing like a lot of interstate travel, you just want to give your arms a break, you can do that. Oh, actually, it conked out. It's not on Blue Cruise anymore. Oh, now we're back to Blue Cruise. It's probably because there's some side roads there that connect directly to the highway, and that kind of throws it off. There. So now we're hands-free again. It is nice that it's very obvious to know that we're hands-free. Seems to work pretty decent here. Now, some of these systems, if I put the blinker on, it'll change lanes for me. This one doesn't do that. Basically, it's all about lane tracing, keeping it centered, and keeping the driver safe. Now, if I'm doing this, this isn't for me to be texting or anything like that. It is watching my eyes. I believe the cameras, the infrared cameras are over there, and they are watching my eyes to make sure that I'm keeping at least some attention on the road ahead. Yeah, seems to work. Cool. Now I know it's not a direct comparison, but I did just buy a Land Cruiser First Edition from Toyota, and it cost about the same amount of money as this truck. And it's kind of funny, it actually has some features that kind of parallel this truck. It has a high wattage output out of the AC power sockets, not quite like what this truck does, but you know, it has a 2400 watt AC power. It also has a hands-free system, but on the Toyota, it's only hands-free in rush hour. It is a below 25 mile per hour hands-free system, and I actually rather like it. It wasn't something that I thought I would want, but it came on the Land Cruiser, and I find I actually enjoy using it. But be it that I live in an area where I'm rarely in rush hour traffic, I just don't get to use it very often. So maybe it's just the novelty of it. So at this point, I'm pulling off of Highway 16, and then it automatically disables Blue Cruise because I'm now off of the mapped highway. And you can search online. A lot of people have built up maps of showing, you know, the highways where Blue Cruise is supported. I always want to say Blues Clues, but no, Blue Cruise is supported throughout the US. I think there's probably an official map too, but when I did a quick search, I found a forum where somebody had mapped it all out. So, and it seems to cover pretty much all of the major highways in the US. This is why you buy a truck, to go get feed and hay. So he wants me middle semi over here. Okay. Okay, so they're saying they're about 120 pounds each. So in total, that's 240 pounds plus the feed. So yeah, we're good to go. There's a real load for you. Now, obviously, this isn't even close to the actual like maximum capacity of this truck. It's like not even touching it, but it does add a little bit of weight to the back, and it loads up that suspension, and yeah, still drives nice, actually. Not unexpected at all. I mean, this is why people buy these trucks, like specifically hauling hay, very common thing. So there's lots of things I really like about this truck, and you know, it's just so well thought out, and even the digital gauge cluster really nicely designed. Not only does it look great, but there's all sorts of different layouts that are for different tasks, because we have all the little drive modes down here, everything from tow haul to eco to sport, normal, off-road, and slippery. Picking your mode not only modifies steering feel and throttle feel, it'll also modify the four-wheel drive system and the traction control systems. So, you know, it's a full setup on the truck, which I love. I know it sounds like I'm really in the bag for this truck, but I kind of am, you know? No, Ford's not paying me. Don't be ridiculous. I don't get paid by any manufacturers. But you know, when a truck is this good, it needs to have the proper kudos. It just needs to, you know, and this truck is that good. Now, what's reliability look like? I don't test that. I have this truck for a week. What can I do? All I can do is report what other people say. So if you're gonna look at what other people say, you know, for reliability, look at JD Power, look at Consumer Reports. Those are where you can actually get some valuable long-term usage information. So we've driven this on the highway, we've driven it on the freeway with the hands-free system. Now let's see how this handles our Peninsula Proving Grounds, where we're gonna put this truck to the test. Now let's see how well this thing can handle our basic off-road test. Call it the Fun Forest. It is a fairly simple trail. I've taken tons of crossovers and trucks through here already. First off, I'm going to turn off those parking sensors. Okay, so this is going to basically test basic off-road capability of this vehicle, as though you're going to go up to a trailhead or you're on a farm, you need to get to a part of the farm that has less than great roads. There is some climb up and there's a little left and right. It's not a very long trail, but it should show us what we need to know about this truck's capabilities. So first thing I'm going to do is pick a different drive mode. I'm going to go ahead and pop into the off-road mode. Let's see what that does. It says it's for rough, uneven, and mixed terrain, which is exactly what we have. It has automatically put on the rear locker, and it has automatically switched me into 4 high. Now this is a simple trail, so don't really need to have 4 low. I'm just going to drive it as it is. And I like this gauge cluster layout. It's really nice. Okay, gives me all the vitals that I need immediately. Now the weird thing about this, oh, I also have a really great front camera. That's neat. Okay, this is the first time I will have driven something with a 145-inch wheelbase through this course. I hope it fits. The biggest issue here is, of course, turning radius and breakover when you're dealing with something with this long of a wheelbase. So not really designed for tight trails. Okay, I got that rear locker on, so we're not going to get any wheel spin in the back. It's basically locking that whole rear axle together so the wheels turn at the same rate. In the front, we don't get a front locker. That's more for off-road trims like the Ranger Raptor and the Bronco Raptor. For some reason, the F-150 Raptor does not have a front locker. But that said, I think a rear locker is more than what you're going to need in a truck like this. A rear locker is also really good for going up boat launches when they're slippery. So you're going to get less slip there. Okay, into the hole, back up and out, and oh, let's watch the width. This thing is so big. Gotta watch the side here. We are going to tilt a little bit. So I need to make sure I have room for tilting against that tree. So far, this is actually working out pretty good. Visibility is great. Large mirrors, low cuts on these doors. These things all make it really just much easier to navigate tight spaces like this. Continue on into the tilt. Always feels more dramatic when it's a big vehicle like what we have here. Watch that tree in the front. I think we're doing good. It's being picked up by the parking sensors. Oh, I can hear traction control kicking in on those front wheels. It's really smooth, actually. This thing's pretty great. Okay. Well, yeah, if you need to do a simple trail, I think this F-150 would be just fine. Obviously, if you're going to do stuff like this more often, there are trims that are more appropriate. And on the exit here, we have to watch for that bump on the left. Oh, I'm really close to the tree there. Can we both clear the tree and clear this bump? With minimal rubbing, ooh, I think we'll be okay. Haha, always pay attention all around. Well, yeah, I think overall this truck, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of money, but man, the capability this thing packs. I mean, all the little details of this truck, the power generator, the built-in desk, the large display, the rear locker. I mean, it kind of just has a little bit of something for everyone. The one thing where I think this particular trim is a miss, the way they sent it to us, is these 22-inch wheels. Obviously, this is not the style of truck that is tuned for me. This is a style of truck for somebody else. But I think that just, you know, if you look at the current F-150 lineup, it is a great lineup, not only because of size and capability, but also you have so many options. If you want to have a basic truck, you can get a basic truck. If you want a sport truck, you can get a sport truck, but you can also get it with that built-in power station, which just blows my mind. Built-in scales. These are all fantastic ideas. And I don't know if Ford gets enough credit for adding these to their trucks, because you know, I drove the Ram 1500, what was that big one, recently. It was a good truck, but it was just a truck. It didn't really do anything else. This one, I can think of so many more uses for. I just changed the wheels out first. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share videos. We make them for you. I hope you enjoy them, and we'll see you again right here real soon.